Welcome to the Jamodi podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. What's one thing that makes your program different?
This, and again, this goes back to, Steve and as, as a head coach, your staff and your players and everybody that's around that supports it, your administration, your vision and their execution or their help in the execution of it. And this is one thing that Steve always says in every recruiting visit we have, whether it's on a Zoom, in person, or what have you. This is the one time that he uses the word I. Everything else is we. And that, he got that from Coach Kruger. Everything is about we, ours, and us. But this is the one time that he will say I. As the head coach, he says it is his responsibility to create an environment where the players look forward to coming to practice every day. And he said that he takes that personal, and that is his personal responsibility to do that. Because if there's ever a time where he's not enjoying it or they're not enjoying it, somebody's doing something wrong. And either they've got to look at themselves or he's got to look at himself and say, I got to figure it out and get it right. So I think you don't hear many say that, and him and I kind of go back and forth, not back and forth, but I always say, I love that. And I think that's why our players have just embraced the culture. But I also, knowing that it's like life. We all love what we do, but within what we do, there are elements, times, and some things that flat out you're just not going to enjoy.
Right.
Like I love my job and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But you know what? I hate doing expense reports when I come back from traveling. But guess what? If I love my job, I can't just not do those, because if I don't do it, like
you won't have your job. You won't have your job. Yeah.
He's going to come in and say, hey, do those expense reports. Yeah. And I blow him off again. He's going to say, hey, I'm not going to tell you again. You know what I mean? It's just part of the job. So that's like practice. There's going to be an element of practice, whether it's defensively or a conditioning type deal where players, they're not going to enjoy it, but they got to understand the value in it.
So I love the idea of wanting to create an environment where that players enjoy coming to the gym, coming to practice. What are some things? Because the whole idea too with this podcast is it's not what we do, but how we do what we do that's important. And so how do you create? What are just some little things and nuggets just to make that experience more fun?
I think the one thing, Steve, this is one area. Steve and I philosophically are on the same page in so many things. One thing that we really we're not as on the same level or page is conditioning. I'm a huge conditioning guy. I'm about just really, really and it not so much just making guys run, but you get so much more out of the mental component of that than you do just the physical, but it's also the physical. And I just know I've always felt and believed if we can play our 5 best players longer than you can play your 5 best players, we're going to win. And I just think that conditioning is the root of everything.
Yeah.
And Steve likes to have conditioning kind of come from actually playing the game and going through a practice. So instead of putting them on a line, which I get, that's redundant, and sometimes that's not going to take. But when you're going through a drill and go so hard that you make yourself tired. And some players have a maturity and a mindset they will do that, and they understand that. But there's also some guys that they're not. They're going to coast. They're going to only do as much as you allow or tolerate. Yeah. And that's where I always, the ones, if you condition the ones that are mature, they're going to understand and they're minded.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get the ones who don't, you're going to get them where they need to be. So, but he doesn't, there's not a lot of punishment. We don't use that. That's a negative tone.
Yeah.
I think his big thing, we watch so much film. His thing is 2 to 1, 2 positives to 1 negative.
Nice.
Film is going to be about what we did right and what, as opposed to what we didn't do or did wrong or that was bad. he just doesn't want to come out of a film session where guys are like, geez, I didn't do anything right. I'm not any good. So that's a huge way that we kind of building confidence, making guys feel good.
Helping the players protect their confidence even more. I think because, golly, that's got to be a challenge or just something that he has to really commit to, and as a staff you got to commit to, because our eyes automatically go to the negatives, and those are the things that we're drawn to address. But when you choose to focus on positives, I can see how a film session now is, golly, is it going to be me today? Instead of thinking like that, it's, man, I'm about to see something good. That's powerful.
Exactly.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.